no course for medical intuition. I developed a course that I ran years and years and years ago, and I do hope to run it again. But the one thing, I can teach people how to learn anatomy and physiology and how to look at the connections, how to connect things and use their intuition. I can even teach you how to tap into your intuition. But the one thing I can't teach you is actually how to rely on it, is how to trust it. And you can't trust that intuition is accurate unless you are in a position again and again and again where you need it. Being medical intuitive means that I can look into the energy system of a human being, which lay people call the aura, and medical and scientific people call the electromagnetic field. But I have the ability to actually see that electromagnetic field with my eyes. Now, I don't think that that's unique. I think a lot of people can, but we're actually taught to deny it. And if you think about the amount of times that you've seen a mirage, or you're looking at something and you see like a light haze, like a very bright light, and you go, oh, my eyes are tired, my eyes are sore. That's actually the electromagnetic field. And if you look at it for long enough in a certain way, you will see it start to move and to pulse and to change. And you'll start to notice that as you talk, it alters too. Right? Because everything that you think and feel and do will alter that. So you can see it getting bigger in some areas, smaller in other areas. But having studied that for so long, I started to put together a system which, had been sketchily done, but nothing really concrete. And I would notice that if I wanted to look at somebody's liver, I would ask certain questions, or I wanted to look at their brain and the function inside their brain, I would ask certain questions, or how they breathe, So it became to me very important to ask questions, not for the answer, but for the energy effect. Certain questions of everybody that I was seeing, so that I could predictably bump up certain parts of their energy field, much like when you go to a doctor and they hit you with the reflex hammer, whatever. It used to terrify me, that, and blood pressure pumps. What I do is as predictable as that, but instead of using these different tools, I use energy awareness, right? But because it's energy awareness, you're not limited to what is right here, right now. You're actually able to see into the past, so what's coming, what's happened, and into the future, so what is coming towards you. For instance, this little bit of sharing, I suppose, I ended up with a rare illness that was caused by a brain tumour. Now, nobody would believe me that I had this illness, I had this brain tumour, but I could see it in my energy system, and I could feel it, I could see it changing me. And it actually took me accidentally giving a diagnosis to a doctor for her to believe me enough to send me to a doctor who could do all the tests, which were really quite finely placed tests, unusual tests, to discover that I did in fact have this brain tumour, right? It's quite bizarre. But I went to see my normal doctor, and just out of the blue, because I do not normally do this, I never give away information without being in a session with somebody, because that's dangerous and foolish. But I'm sitting in this appointment with my doctor and I'm just looking at her and I'm saying, look, I really need a referral to this person, and she's saying, I don't think you need it, and I think it would be a waste of time, and you know, blah blah blah, all that sort of stuff. And out of my mouth, just like that, came, what's wrong with your left eye? And she said, nothing. How dare you use your mumbo jumbo on me? And I immediately apologised. I said, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I don't normally do that. Please forgive me. And I got up and I left, right, without the referral that I needed. And then about a month, I left it about a month, and I thought, no, I really, really, really need this referral. And as this person that I was dealing with and blurted that thing out with happened to be my GP, I had to go back to her and I said, look, I'm sorry, I'm back. I know you said no. I really need this referral, please. Can you just trust me? And if I'm wrong, then you can put me on whatever tablet you want and I will take them, you know, whatever. Give me this chance. She wrote me the referral, right? And that led me, you know, to the doctor, the specialist that I wanted to go to, and that led to a whole lot of tests to prove that I did indeed have this rare condition that I had said I'd had. But the interesting thing is that my doctor then went on leave. And when I rang up to make another appointment for whatever, you know, I said, oh, where is she? And they said, oh, she's on leave. I thought, okay, fair enough. When she came back, she'd actually had her eye removed because what I saw was cancer behind her eye, ocular cancer. And she had been shocked enough because she was suspecting that there was something wrong. And she'd been shocked enough that she had actually went and had tests done and discovered that she had ocular cancer. So, you know, we actually moved into quite a good relationship from there, where she was no longer afraid to believe me when I said something.
How does cancer look?
Well, it depends on where it is and what it is, but quite often cancer is a very toxic sort of yellowy green. Now I love lime because that describes lime, and lime is a gorgeous colour. Really love lime, but you know that kind of tobacco colour that you know you get like when you say you leave a cigarette burning in an ashtray and it gets that yellowy kind of colour building up. If you were to drop some green food dye into that yellowy colour, that's the colour that cancer often shows up as. So that's a very active cancer. But if you have a growth that's not cancerous, it tends to show up more of an inflamed red with a hint of blue in there, right? So if you're looking at somebody and you see that, you go, oh, that's okay. I mean, they don't really want that because a non-cancerous growth can be just as harmful, but at least it's not going to, you know, send little ranges out to everywhere else. It's going to stay confined where it is. So yeah, you know, like you can look at energy when you're looking at it in terms of colour, and everybody who has that colour is the same thing. But this is where the tricky part with intuition, medical intuition in specific, comes in, because what the meaning is will be altered by where it is and what you are talking about. Does that, you know, probably doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but say if you're talking to somebody about a relationship, for instance, and they get red, or pinky red around their chest with a hint of green and whatever, there is love, right? But if they were to get that same colour around the head, you're going, that is frustration, right?
So how many people have you worked with, Carmel, that did have cancer, that you were able to help?
A lot. I can't quantify. Actually, ironically, I went to a storage unit that I have just yesterday, and I'd forgotten how many clients I'd seen. And anyway, at the back of this storage unit, there is box upon box upon box, the filing boxes, because I keep a file of up to like 7 years ago, right? And sort of every 7 or 8 years I'll go through the files and get rid of ones that I haven't seen. Although sometimes I know a person will be long term, so I have a special box where I've kept people's files who I've been seeing for 20 years or more. But I've never really done a complete study to say that 10% or 1% or 5% of my clients are cancer. And in truth, cancer is not the worst thing. That's the thing that everyone is afraid of, right? But on top of cancer, there's MND and MS and leukemia and Cushing's disease and Crohn's disease and Lyme disease, and there are thousands and thousands and thousands of illnesses that are actually far more devastating and serious than cancer, and even within that there's with cancer there's the lymphomas and leukemias and so forth. I'll actually tell you a very interesting story. This is, to me, it's actually one of the saddest stories. I had a dentist, and I say had because he's dead now, who I met when I was probably about 23, 24 years of age, and he just started up his first practice. And I was one of his first clients, but I was directed to him. And I really just formed this terrific bond with him. So I trusted him as a dentist more than any other dentist I ever have before or since. Anyway, when I had my last death experience, I didn't go to the dentist for a long time. I was too busy recovering and all that sort of stuff. And when I was intubated, I actually came out of the coma, about a day earlier than they expected me to, and I pulled out the tube, and I'd actually managed to break teeth on pulling this tube out. And so I really didn't want to go see my dentist because I didn't want him to give me a big bill. But my kids kept going, right, every 6 months. One day I had to go and pick them up, and I walked in and I looked at my dentist, and I could see that he was dying and that he was going to die really soon, and he had no idea. Right? Now, he and I were the same age. I think he may have been a couple of years older than me, so he was by no means an old man. But what I could see was this toxic green yellow all throughout, all of him. And I went up to him when we were leaving, and I put my hand on his chest and I said, "Paul, you need me. You need my help urgently. Please call me and I will come help you." And I had to go, and he had another client. Well, he saw that client, and then he actually took himself to hospital. He said, "I'm sick. I need an ambulance." They called an ambulance for him. He was ambulanced to hospital. I got home and I wrote a letter to him, and I sent it to his practice. That letter arrived at his practice the day he died. In hospital. Died.
What cancer was it? Do you know?
He had a rare form of leukemia that nobody had picked up on, and to him the only symptoms were he was getting tired and he was struggling to breathe. And the reason he took himself to hospital, because he was a big fitness fanatic, he was just struggling to breathe. He said, I need to go to hospital. There was nothing they could do. Now the thing is, there was nothing I probably could have done either. If I had gone to the dentist with my kids 6 months prior in their last visit, yes, I could have done something. But at that stage, no. His fate was sealed. But, you know, that's the kind of things that happen. And for people who want to be medical intuitives, this is what they have to accept, that sometimes they won't be able to do anything.